Message mapping is one of the most important part of the cloud integration, using which the developer can bring a structural transformation in the data, like from one structure to another structure. But in the graphical message mapping, node function is one of the most crucial part in which people face a lot of difficulty in understanding what is queue and context, and in that how we can deal with the different node functions, where we can use it and how we can use it. Even I faced a lot of difficulties in understanding what is queue and context and what are the different node functions and how we can use it and where we can apply it. Hi everyone, my name is Amish and today we will see the simple remove context and split by value, that what is the use case of these two node functions and how it works. I have already created the node functions package in my trial account and I will be creating all the artifacts using which we can understand the node functions. So we can simply create the message mapping here, or also like we can create the integration flow. Inside that we can analyze the different simulations. Okay, so I will be creating the integration flow and inside that I will be creating the message mapping. So here I will give the name as remove context and a split by value. We will open this artifact and inside that we will be creating the message mapping. First we can make it editable and here I will directly add a message mapping step just after this start. So we will create a message mapping. We will create this message mapping and inside that I have already created two XC which we will import. So first I will import the source XST. This is my source XST. You can see inside that the details of the orders are there. So the parent node is orders and its child node is line. And after that, inside the lines, we have this order number category, SKU and quantity. Similarly, I will import the XST. This is the target. So target XST I have already created according to our requirement, using which we can understand the split by value and remove context. So here we can see that the cardinality means the occurrence is 1:1, that minimum occurrence and maximum occurrence will be 1 for this node. And line, so it is a mandatory field, so minimum occurrence will be 1 and maximum and number of occurrence it can have. And inside the line, the minimum and maximum occurrence of this order number category and SKU quantity will be always 1. Now, before moving to understand these two node functions, we will understand what is queue and context. So the theoretical definition of the queue and context, you can search on the internet and you will easily get it. But we will understand it practically, that how it works and what is it. I have this source data. I will show you what is the queue and context. So first of all, we see that here we have parent node as orders. So order is one of the context and inside that we have lines. So we have line and we have multiple data for lines. Okay. So order is one of the context and inside that line is one of the context and this order number which is inside line, we can consider it as a queue. Okay. And inside this queue, the first value which we have is this 1001. The second value which we have is again 1001, which is this one. And the third value, again we have this order number as 1002. And the third value of this queue is 1002 only. Okay. So these are the value of this order number queue. Similarly, we have this category. Category we can consider is one of the queue. Okay. Inside the category context, the queue which holds the value is this fruits. So this fruits is one of the value, and so let me write it, fruits. Again, this second is also fruits. Third again is snacks and snacks. Okay, so I will write it snacks and snacks again. Let it be. Now similarly, SKU has first value APL, then ban, then this CHP, then again NUT. Okay, whatever it is, let it be. So here we can say that this order is one of the context. Okay, and inside this order we have this line as Q, and this line has how many values this line have? 1, 2, 3, and 4. So this 4 values this line have, and inside this line we have this order number. Okay, and this order number, how many values it have? It also have 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we can write it as like just symbolic representation I am giving as 4. Okay, so we can consider this as an array. How the SAP store this data as an array. Okay, similarly, we inside the line we have this category. This category again have 4 values. Okay, similarly this SKU and quantity are there. So I hope this little bit the Q and context you might have understand, but the more detail we will get when we will simulate the situation in the CPI. So let's clear this, and we will go to our CPI trial account, and in that we will simulate this data and we will see how this Q and context works. So for that, like what is the idea here is, let me just browse the data. And to see the Q and context, first we have to map the values. Okay, the mapping should be completed. So I have mapped this orders, and if see and see first we have to complete the mapping, then only we will be able to see the data. So for now I'm just mapping all the data. So this lines, this is the parent node, so I have mapped it with the parent, and again this orders, I have mapped it with the parent, or we can directly assign it as a constant, not a because this. So I will just assign it as a constant. Okay, now this order number I will directly give it as a order number, and this group quantity for now I will give it as a quantity, and again this item I will assign it as a constant. Okay, and then category let it be. I will not map it for now, we will change the data. Okay, and we will see how we can map this category, this SKU and quantity. So and total quantity also I will give it as a total quantity. Okay, so let's first simulate this and see how the output is coming. Okay, so okay, here what is the problem? It is only taking the first value. Okay, so to remove this mapping error, we have to map this with the orders as well. Okay, just we will remove this constant, and line is mapped with orders, and again this will be also mapped with the lines, and in this case we will see the simulation. Okay, now you see we have 4 orders in the output. Okay, so let it be, this mapping is not correct. Just for the sake of completing the mapping we have mapped this, and now we will see like how this Q and context works. Okay, so this orders we see. Okay, so first we will see what is Q value for this order. Okay, so here you see that the queue has only one array. Now let's see how many lines. So we will just check any one of the line queue. It should be 4 as we have in this data. Yeah, we have our data. So four lines we have. Okay, so you see that four arrays we are getting. Okay, this is the Q value. Now what we can do that we will see how many order numbers we have. So let me show you the Q value of the order number. So you might be seeing here this 1001 and 1001. So this is the Q value, and this is again the context change. Okay, this is the context change. I will show you how this context is happening. So this is the first order number. Again, it is going from the line, and then again this order number is coming. Okay, so this is the context is happening here. Okay, because it is coming in the another line. It is not in the same line. Okay, this is in the first line, this is in the second line, again this is the third line, this is in the fourth line. So whatever we are seeing in this gray color, this is the context change. And you see a little bit darker ribbon here, this is the last one, context change. So I hope a little bit this queue and context you might have understand, but now we will see like how this remove context and split by value works. Okay, so for that, this total quantity I have taken. So you might be observing that this is quantity. So in our data, we see that quantity is 2, 3, 5, and 7. And what we want all should sum up here the total quantity. So we already have a standard function that is sum. So if we take sum, for now, let's see what is the output in this total quantity. So here you see that this total quantity is coming as like it is mapped one to one. So that's why it is not summing up. It is just giving the one to one value from its line. If we take the output, like we will run the simulation and then we will see. So we might see that only first value is appearing in the quantity. So we will simulate it and we will see. Okay. So here you see that the total quantity is 2, which is nothing but just the first value from the lines quantity. Okay, so what we want that this all should sum up. So for that, if we directly do the sum, it will not work. In the sum we have this input, and again we can map it with the total quantity, but it is not going to work. If we see the description of the sum, that is showing that calculate sum of all numbers in each context. Okay, so here we have, see display queue, we will see. So see, here we have how many contexts we have? One context, two, three, four we have. So from each context, it will sum up all the numbers. So in the first context, we have only one number, second context, only one number, third context, only one, fourth, only one. So what we have to do that, we have to put all these numbers into only one context. Okay, so that a queue will be formed, and inside that queue, all the numbers will be there. So for that, what we will use remove context. That is a node function. So I will just search remove context here, or you can directly go here in the node functions and remove context. And then I will give the input as quantity, and then you can give the input. Now see what is the input and output of this remove context. See here what happened that all the context, this context has been removed. You see this all numbers have been put in only one context and it is forming a queue. So inside the queue we have this first number, second number, third number, fourth number. Now what this sum does, if you remember what this sum does, here it is clearly written that calculate sum of all the numbers in each context. So let's see what is its input and output we are getting. So see 2 plus 3 5, 5 5 10, 7 17. So it is summing up all the numbers and putting it into a single context because that will be the output. Now if we see the total quantity output, it is 17, which is absolutely correct. Now we will simulate it and we will see. So here is the mapping result. Total quantity is coming correct. Okay. So you might have understood what is this remove context, how it works, where we can use it. Okay. Whenever you want to remove the context, and perform the operation on the data, then you use this remove context. Okay. Similarly, suppose you have used this remove context here, but after removing the context, you have performed the operation on your data. Then after the performing the operation on data, you need to add the context again. So in that case, you will be using split by value. So how a split by value works, it will just add the context after each, like there are multiple algorithm in the split by value. I will show you. See, so split by value here, we are we are just doing that. We are removing the context and we are just adding the context again. Means here we are removing and we are adding here just to understand how it works. So we have already seen uh, q output. See here in the input we have the data with context, and in the output we are seeing that we have the data without context. Now split by value, how it works. So you see this advanced option. In this you have option to add the context or change the context after each value. Means after each value context will be added, or after empty value, wherever there are empty value, then only this context change will happen, or value change. So suppose you have the repetitive data in your queue. So whenever the data value changes, at that time this context is getting added. So first we will see how each value context addition happens. So display queue we will be doing. You see, after each value, the context is getting added. Now, this is simple. What we will do that, we will just use empty value. So let's see what happens. Do we have any empty value in our input? I don't think so. So where this context will be added, let's see. So we do not see any empty value in our input. So there is no context addition happened in even in our output as well. Let's check that value change. Okay, so in that case, display queue, we always have this distinct value in our queue. So you see this 2 is different, 3 is different, 4 5 is different, and 7 is different. There is no repetitive value, but I will show you by manipulating the test input data to this all cases. So to see this empty value and value change, let me just manipulate the data so that we can see how this works. So I will just open it with the notepad. And in this quantity 2, again, I will make here 2 only, and 5. Let's keep this 5 only. I will save this, and again, we have to import this data in our CPI. Now let's see this split by value on the value change, how it is adding the context. See, 2 2 are repetitive, 5 5 are repetitive. So whenever the value change is happening, this 2 is after this 2 the 5 is there, so one context addition happened. So this is how value change works. You might have understood. Now without wasting any time, we will see how this empty value works. So what I will do that, I will just remove one of the 2 and I will save it. Let's see how it did. So let's see first the data in the queue. You see there is one of the empty value. Now display queue we will see just after this 2 and just before this 5, the context is getting added. Okay, So here you see this is one of the context and this is one of the context. So this is how this advanced options works on value change, each value, empty value. I hope you might have understood this remove context and split by value, that how it behaves, and like the more clear picture you will get when you will just make your hand dirty with the data. Okay, so I will suggest you to take some test data and just perform random operations, just play with the data and you will understand how this context and queue works, what are these node functions. So we have different node functions available, and in next video I will show you some collapse context, use one as many, and there are different others like format by example, map with default. So this all node functions I will explain first, and similarly like we will move ahead with different other mapping functions. So that's it for this video, and we will meet in next video. Thanks a lot.